Hey guys, another awesome interview. I have Hall of Famer, UFC Hall of Famer Frank Trigg here. Not only is he a UFC Hall of Famer, he is now a stuntman, actor, certified MMA referee and judge, commentator, TV, radio host, former professional wrestler, and a Scotch connoisseur. He is a man who wears many hats. I'm really excited to have this interview right now. Frank is a friend of mine. I've seen him off and on in the MMA world. He's always either reffing or just coaching. And he. Sorry for the loudness. So I want to talk about Frank's life. I want to talk about his background. I've been interviewing different people, fighters, athletes, even musicians, and I've realized that the genre is people that I think are rad. So I think Frank is rad, and
Thank you.
I want to start with a little bit about background, and you just start like how you got started in MMA, where you're from, how you grew up, that kind of thing.
Born and raised in Rochester, New York, upstate, it's kind of by Buffalo. It's famous for the Eastman Kodak Company and Xerox. That's the two big industries there. Got in MMA because I was taking judo after college in Oklahoma with Patrick Burris from USA Stars. USA Stars is still in Oklahoma. They're still producing judo world team members. I was trying to make myself a better wrestler by doing judo. He honestly asked me if I want to go down to Texas and make a couple $100 beating somebody up. I thought somebody owed him money, so I was like, yeah, let's go. I'm sure I'm in. It was a fight. So I fought 4 times in one night and made $500. And if I didn't win all 4 fights, I would have made nothing.
And how old were you at this time?
That was 97. Shit, I don't know. 20, I don't know, whatever, 26 or something?
After college.
Yeah, it was after college.
After college.
Yeah. And then realized I couldn't make the Olympic team. After 2,000 games, that was my best shot, and I just didn't make the team. So I was like, I got to give up wrestling and figure out my next step. And I was still fighting to make money to pay for my wrestling trips. I was like, oh, maybe I'll make a career out of this thing. And then moved to LA to train with the Raw team, which was Couture and Henderson and Vladimir Minishenko and myself with the Big Four. And then lived in LA from like 2000 until, well, I don't know, 2004, and then moved to Vegas and lived there until 2015.
So you've only trained with 2 different teams?
Yeah, I basically was with Extreme Couture when I was in Vegas, and I trained with the Raw team when I was in LA. That was it. Yeah, and when I was competing.
Yeah.
And then after, now I kind of train wherever I can find a place.
Yeah. And you were active. I think it was I don't know. Wikipedia is not always right, but 1997 to 2012 was.
Yeah, 96, 97 was a couple of fights that were illegal and off the books. So there's a couple more fights under than on my record that we fought and won, and just was the way it went.
Yeah.
You know, at the time that the sport was just really starting. At that point, it was becoming illegal. You know, in 96, 97, it was becoming illegal in all these states. So you couldn't do it anywhere. And so a lot of the fights had to go underground and weren't really sanctioned, and were kind of, you were allowed to kick a guy in the face, you could knee him in the face, but you couldn't punch him in the face, you had to open hand slap him. So it was like a hybrid of pancreas, but it wasn't. It was like these weird rules and crap like that. So I saw that whole growth of the sport.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention earlier. You have over 30 professional fights, and what really sticks out at me, some against some people that are still competing, high-level athletes, some of the best in the world today and back then. But I think what's even more impressive is that it was in the infancy stage of the sport. So like you said, maybe the doctor situation was questionable, the rules were questionable, weight classes were questionable, back then.
Back then we had, there was 2 weight classes, over 200 and under 200. And that was the first weight class they made. Before then, it was, we all saw how Royce fought. It was, he was 155 pounds without his gi on and beating up guys who were 400 pounds. I mean, that's just, the sport has changed, and for the betterment. Now there's rules and regulations and weight classes and, medical checks and doctors checking you out, and, and if you get injured, you have to get cleared to come back in, and you get knocked out, you got a definite 60-day hold. Like, there's all these new things that was not existing when I started. When I started, you were just good luck.
Yeah, I mean, the safety situation has definitely improved. What would you say is the biggest thing besides the safety issues that's changed throughout MMA since you were in?
The unified rules. Well, that when we first started, it would be a different rule set every promotion. Now you pretty much have Yeah, some commissions are using the new rules, some commissions aren't. That's a big problem right now for fighters. But for the majority of it, the rules are unified. That's what helps, is knowing that every time a professional fighter fights, the rules are going to be the same. So there's no discrepancy, there's no problems, there's no questioning of what's going on. You don't need the unified rules, and it just makes sense.
That's true. Obviously, pay has changed.
Yeah.
Sponsorship situations have changed.
Yeah.
We won't even talk about Reebok. But sensitive subject for me. But okay, I mean, and then I was going to ask you, this is probably a duh, but there were no amateur fights when you started, right? You just straight into pro?
No, it was just, all of our amateur career was my 1,200 wrestling matches.
Yeah.
So I was doing something else, but now a lot of the guys don't do anything else. Like, all they've done is MMA from the time they're 6 or 7 years old. So they're doing boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling, and they're competing in all of them individually until they get to a space where they can actually compete at the amateur level, and they do it all at one time. So you have great organizations out there that are really helping develop the sport from the amateur side, because these guys aren't wrestling through the most of them aren't wrestling through to the Olympics. They're not doing judo through to the Olympics. They're not doing these things. They're stopping early, and they have some place to go. You got to go in and get amateur fights. I tell every guy that's never done anything at all, you need 20 amateur fights before you jump the pro league. You should get those 20 in, because it gives you a real sense. And let's not forget, if you do something 20 times for free, it's so much, you're definitely dedicated. You're into it then for the long haul.
Oh yeah. Especially something like this.
Yeah.
Selling papers for free, that's whatever.
Yeah.
Throwing papers.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you say that. I actually have a weird question. Do you think that if you could choose, would you prefer, let's say your son, go to high school and wrestling and be either like a wrestler and then start their MMA career, or just say start fresh as like a freestyle fighter and just learn jiu-jitsu and learn wrestling, or learn, you know what I mean? Do you think it's right or better to have a specific background in one discipline?
So the world is circular. It's come back to that positioning now, where you look at a guy like Max Holloway, who has always been a striker, has great jiu-jitsu, has great wrestling, but never competed at that level. He's always just been a striker, and he's the champ at 145. You look at a lot of other guys like Conor McGregor. He against Chad Mendez, he was getting beat because he's getting taken down, he's getting out wrestled. So you can tell that his wrestling is not up to par with the rest of the guys.
Yeah.
But he's still the best guy that there is right now in any weight class. He's the most known. And so the world is changing now, where it used to be for a long time, when it first started, my jiu-jitsu versus your karate versus your boxing is going to be better. I'm going to win because I'm just the better. My style of fighting is better.
Yeah.
Then it became where everybody's like, well, hybrid. Everyone had to learn everything to be functional. And now you've got guys that are very, very good at one thing, know the other spaces, but stick with that one thing, and they're still winning.
Yeah.
So it's the game is changing again, where guys are pure strikers. Of the MMA sense, they're pure strikers, and they're winning championships because of that space. It's tough to say with kids, because you never know where my kids are going to end up. Are they going to end up being the greatest of all time, or are they going to end up being just one of the guys? If they would go to that path of fighting, they got to know wrestling. You have to know wrestling to be able to function in fighting. There's no way around it. I would prefer that they would go in and wrestle, is take that as far as they can, and then jump into MMA. But the reality of it is that they need to be a freestyle fighter and doing everything all the time, because when you battle against a guy that's a pure striker, but he's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu, he just never uses it, and you take him down on the ground, all of a sudden you're cutting an armbar, you better know that guy's got 25 years of experience on you of doing that armbar. Even though you've never really seen it, he's been doing it for that long. You're 5 years into it, he's probably got a couple nuances that are going to get you caught, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess it's just safe to say, wherever you start, whatever background, your best bet is just be well-rounded.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I was looking at your Sherdog and your Wikipedia, and you fund all these different organizations. The ones that stick out are Pride and UFC. Do you have a favorite organization that you were a part of?
Well, the favorite obviously was Pride. I got to commentate and fight, in the same organization. I got to fight. I think it's still the only time it's ever happened where somebody fought in the main event and commentated the rest of the card. I pulled that off in one night, and that's when Vanderlei Silva got knocked out by Dan Henderson in Las Vegas.
So you must have been fine physically.
Jump right back
in.
It didn't have a problem.
Who did you fight that night?
Not Takimoto, it was not Sakurai. Mizugaki, no. Who was it?
Some Japanese guy.
Yeah, no, I can remember him too, because he just beat Henderson. He just beat Henderson in the Grand Prix. Gosh darn it, what's his name? Anyway, I beat him in a 3-round decision. My fight was the only fight that went decision that night. Every other fight was finished early, and I was like, I have that record of being the only fight that went 3 rounds. So not really a great record, but it was Pride is probably my favorite of all time. But I'm really proud of my MMA career because I did it when it wasn't cool. I did it before it was fashionable. I did it when we really weren't making any money. When I retired from the sport, I still owed $14,000. I had to pay people money after I had finished the sport. Like, I'm done with this, and I owe people money still because I didn't make enough money to pay anybody off. So it became very difficult.
Yeah. That's why when I look at your record, I am more impressed with your 30 plus fights than maybe someone who currently has 50 fights. The struggle and everything that went into back then. Not saying it's easy now. It definitely isn't easy now. But
well, it's a lot easier. Usually well, UFC and Bellator specifically, when they throw an event, you know that event's going to happen. A lot of times, I'd be the co-main event on a card that'd be pretty big in that particular region, and we show up to make weight, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's been canceled. It's illegal. We're out." I'm like, "I've been cutting weight for this thing." Like, yeah, and there's no, "Oh hey, here's your show up money because you showed up and we're ready to go."
Yeah.
Just like, good luck, you're out.
Yeah, you're banking on that money to survive, to put food on the table.
You get sent home.
Yeah, it's a rough sport, and even rougher back then.
Yeah, now at least the kids are making a lot more money. Like, I looked at the pricing. I got paid the same amount that the guys get on Fight Pass.
Bummer.
Yeah,
good for us though. Clearly the sport's evolved.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you were known for back then? One, like inside the cage, like probably your wrestling and stuff, but on the opposite end of that, was there anything you were known for? Like, Mayhem Miller was known to be crazy. Did you have anything like characteristically in the MMA world that you were known for?
I was the best trash talker at the time.
Really?
I could get a rise out of anybody. I'd push your buttons all day long. I would literally was making stuff up as I was going along. I didn't have like any mad formula like Conor McGregor does now.
Yeah.
I'm in awe when he starts talking. Like Chael Sonnen, when he was doing, I was like, holy crap, these guys are amazing.
They perfected
I was
it.
just pulling stuff out of my butt, and it worked. Like, I just found a way to really get under people's skin. And like, of course, the most famous one from the Matt Hughes fight. I'm gonna kick his ass. I'm gonna go drink a beer. I'm gonna kick his ass, drink a beer, and go home and kiss my wife because my family's better. And I just ran. And I was like, I don't know his family. I don't know anybody in his family. I just made that up as I was going along. And they're like, oh my God, I'm the most hated person on the planet. Okay, all right, but it worked.
And you sold tickets, and
and that was the
people
point
want to watch you fight.
Yeah,
that's
that
awesome.
was the game.
Cool. Well, I have a couple things that a hardcore fight fan would know, but let's just imagine that they're, your average person watching this. What would you say that your most memorable, or maybe some of your toughest fights have ever been?
Okay, toughest fight was Robbie Lawler. That fight almost killed me. I literally almost died in that fight. And I didn't know it until years later when I was actually taking my refereeing course and sitting down with John McCarthy during a private, trying to figure out how to judge. I was having a hard time really judging fights. I didn't know what I was really looking at. And John showed me my fight and was like, yeah, this guy's dying. You can see he's starting to slow down. I come out in 30 seconds of the third round. I was like, all hyped up. And 30 seconds into it, all of a sudden, I'm already looking for a break. I'm exhausted. I'm like, I don't know why I'm exhausted. Robbie caught me with an uppercut, and I missed the block. And so I pulled my face back at the last second. He caught the tip of my nose and split my nose open this way. So I'm aspirating blood into my lungs this entire fight. But I'm still going. I'm just going to keep fighting. Like, I don't care. I'm going to keep going. And the doctor kept asking me, do you want me to stop the fight? Do you want me to stop? No, I'm good. I'm good. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep doing it. The Lawler fight was the toughest fight because, for a long time I had vision problems with one of my eyes. I was my nose was super sensitive for like a year. Like, anytime I get hit, I'd water up immediately, and I couldn't, like, it just in practice. We're just kind of throwing light punches. I'm like, I can't. I have to take the rest of the round off.
Yeah.
It was really hard. But the most famous fight, obviously, is the Matt Hughes fight. That's the one everyone talks about still. Because they're up the back and forth. I had him, and he got me, and this whole game.
Yeah. Well, that's like we just said previously. Thank goodness that now the safety rules have changed, so there's not situations like that.
Yeah, that fight would have stopped. I would have been stopped even though I was winning, it wouldn't have made a difference. They would have stopped to do the TKO doctor stoppage. I would have lost the fight. But I was winning the fight up to the point where I got cut. And so, you're like, oh, geez, I'm beating this guy, but I would have lost. But then you look back in hindsight, like, well, if I kept fighting, I would have died. I spent the night in the hospital with a tube down, trying to suck the blood out of my lungs and on a mask, and couldn't remember, like, I didn't even know who the president was. Do you know who the president is? I got no fucking idea. I got no clue.
Shit.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was a bad one. Yeah.
My next question, probably that was the answer, was there, well, maybe there's not. It's basically, now that everything's said and done, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently in your fight career?
Not try to do so many other things. I was trying to build a clothing company. I was trying to commentate. I was trying to run podcasts. I was trying to make money. I was trying to get this money being brought in because we weren't making that much fighting, and it was way too much. And I was I would get to practice. I'd be at practice, and I'd be in practice, but I wasn't focused on practice. I'm thinking about the next T-shirt design. I'm thinking about, what was that question I asked today? That one, I got to do it again. Like as I'm trying to throw a high crotch. Like this is just, it was too much. I would have just focused on fighting and not have to do as much. But today's fighters, they can do that. There's enough money now where you can just be a fighter and not have to do these other things and make enough money to survive. Yeah. And it's possible. Back then, we had to do these other things, but it became so distracting. It took way too much away from my fight game because I was so busy trying to do other things.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me feel like, oh shit, maybe I should stop doing that. But no, I mean, I am also focused on my fighting career. I just had a fight, so a little different. But you are doing all these other things now. You are, like I said previously, an actor, a stuntman, you ref, you judge, all these things. Was that transition when you went from fighter or athlete to whatever career path, was that hard? The reason I ask that because you hear about fighters, when they stop fighting, they either get depressed, they lose their identity, they don't know what to do, and you just don't hit me as someone that really went through that.
So every athlete in any sport goes through the same thing when it's time for retirement. Some guys are forced out. It's like they're not, hey, we'll send you home, you're done. Some guys realize their time is over, but they still go through the same sense of loss. When you're an athlete at the professional level, you've been an athlete your whole life. That's just the reality of it. Like you can never think of a time when you weren't doing this particular task. And so I thought I was never going to find another passion like I did for fighting. I had a real passion for wrestling, just wasn't that good. Had a real passion for fighting, just wasn't that good. So I was having a huge problem with trying to find what was I going to do next. What was going to happen for me. And I just made a decision one night and said, I just want to do stuff in front of the camera. And this is just what I want to do. Let's just see how this pans out. And then I found out I'm a really good actor, but I have a huge amount of passion for stunts. I love doing stunts. As a matter of fact, as soon as I get done with this interview, I am running right to CBS Studios to go film SEAL Team. And I can't wait to get there, get the waterboard one of the actors say that this is a huge deal. It's awesome. Like,
I get to torture people.
It's so much fun. Like, and then, some days I get shot, some days I get blown through a window, some days I get hit by a car, some days I'm driving the car to hit somebody else. Like it's all these things are amazing. I get to shoot a lot of weapons. Like this, I have a real passion for it. And I didn't realize it's like got into it. Like I didn't think I was ever going to find that passion again. I found it, and with reffing, I found it again too. And reffing, no matter everybody thinks, you're not making any money. There's no real money in reffing. Yeah. I thought John McCarthy was loaded. I'm like, oh yeah, you're fucking rich, man. I see you every weekend on TV. He's like, dude, man, here's the numbers. We all get paid the same. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're only gonna make it $400 tonight. And this is hold on, I'm reffing 4 fights. I'm making $400. Yes, and they're all pro. This is just what it is. Oh my gosh, this is amazing! Yay! So I do it. It's a passion. I dump money into it. I lose money every time I rap because I fly in from Hawaii. I come in and do my job in California, and I fly back, and so it costs money. Yeah. Love it. No complaints. Absolutely love it. It's because I found my passion by accident. It wasn't like, oh, I always want to be a ref or I always want to be a judge. I never want to be an actor. I never want to be a stunt guy. Yeah. I was lucky enough to take a risk and let me just try this and see what happens. Yeah. And loved it and fell in love. And now this is all I do all day, every day.
Well, it seems to be working out for you. Whenever I see you, you're either reffing or I'm talking to you. You're flying back and forth from Hawaii and doing stuff here in LA. We're here in LA right now. I caught him. I'm actually going to cut the interview a little short just because I know you have to go. I'm going to ask you 2 more questions.
Okay.
And they're just, I am interviewing you right now because I look up to you. You were a fighter. You're in my shoes, and now you're doing something that I really admire, and you're doing it well, and you're successful at it. So, for me, but also the other fighters, what advice would you give someone like me who's in the middle of their career? Any advice you can give, like the current fighter, just your best piece of advice. And 2, someone who is on the way out of fighting.
So the problem is that at the beginning of your career, you have to plan on your exit strategy. Because our careers in fighting, I got lucky. I fought 12 years. Couture fought 15 years. A lot of, look, Robert Lawler's still fighting. And he started fighting before I did, and he's still fighting. There's a lot of guys out there that are still competing. GSP's coming back, He's got a hugely long career and a semi-successful acting career. Like it's starting to take off for him a little bit. You got to have your exit strategy. You guys start thinking about it when you start. Most guys don't. Most girls don't. They think about, oh, now I'm done fighting. What am I going to do now? It's too late. You got to have that process. Start thinking about exit strategy. Wherever you are in your career, you got to think about what happens next. What happens when I get out? podcast, your acting, your coaching, your management, like all that stuff is your exit strategy. You've got it kind of. You just got to find which one is going to guide you down the path where you're like, every day all I can think about is doing that thing again. Like, oh my God, I can't wait to talk to this guy. I can't wait to go on this audition. I can't wait to do this next podcast. Like, this is the thing. Yeah. The other thing is, when you're in the middle of your career, is it's the sport has changed so much where now you are really athletes. You really are professional athletes. People see you on pay-per-view. People see you on Fox Sports. People are seeing you on TV. They're seeing you in interviews. They're stalking you on all your social media, and they're watching you. You are now a real sports person. Don't let the distractions take away from what the real goal is at the end of the day. And the real goal at the end of the day is championship belts. That's the goal. And yes, right now a lot of the sports, a lot of the promotions are going to the special match, where this guy talked enough noise, so he jumped from 10th to be the number one contender to fight the champ because he talked enough, and that's kind of the game that's happening right now. We saw it with McGregor and Mayweather. McGregor talked enough noise to make Mayweather have to come out of retirement and fight him, and that fight went the way that fight was going to go from the very beginning. But but Mayweather had to come and train, and okay, I got to beat this guy up because he's talking too much noise. He jumped everybody else and pulled him out of retirement. That's a huge task. So it's a point now where people are forgetting what the actual goal is. They think that the actual goal is money. The actual goal in sports is winning championships. You know, you never talk to a guy that was one of the best but never won a championship. You only talk to the guys that were one of the best and won championships. And a lot of them aren't really that good, but they won a championship, and that makes them very good. And that's like a weird thing that happens. So don't let all these other things take away from what the actual goal is. Don't let these other things distract you from my entire goal is to win championships. Now, let's be honest. Not everyone's going to win a championship. Not everyone's going to be in that game. But you want to give yourself the best shot. So when your athletic window is closed, you can look back on it and go, you know what? I gave it everything I had. I gave everything I had for the sport. I did what I could do. I did the best way I possibly could. And I got to the highest level that I could personally get to at the time in the sport. And that's all you can ask for. And hopefully that turns you into some other things, but you also have to ride the wave. When you're winning, you got to ride the win. You know, and when you're in a lull, you know, right now you're in a little bit of a lull. You got to deal with it. Sometimes you're on a surfboard, like I'm riding good. All of a sudden you're getting washed. You come out to get a breath of air, and you get hit again. You're like, oh, I'm underneath again. Like, what am I going to do? You got to just keep holding your breath, and eventually, there's some light. I'm going to find it. I'm going to get back up to the top again. It's kind of how you have to handle it. And it's tough. It's really tough right now because the sport has changed from being a sport to being a lot more entertainment. And now it's all about entertaining. So like you and I doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, you're gonna be better at it because women are always better at it than guys are. Because more guys watch women than they watch guys, and more girls watch women than they watch guys. So if they're gonna look at your podcast, it's gonna be a mix of guys and girls. If I do a podcast, it'll be a mixture of guys and girls, but it's gonna be like 3 girls and like 25 guys. And that's it, because that's just how people are looking at it. They always want to listen to a girl. They always want to see something that's optically pleasing. They always want to see something that's got the same attitude as a guy does. Just how economy is working right now. And so it's just one of those situations where, my personal opinion, the women in the sport have a much better chance of getting to the top of whatever they're going to do than the guys do. Just way better. Post-fighting. Way better.
All right. I got a chance. Lastly, I am just going to let the followers know where can we find you on social media.
So I have a weird social media thing. It's just Frank Trigg. Everywhere, all of them, every time. It's all it is. I never change it. The only problem is that's actually me answering everything. So sometimes you send me a note. It might be, I answered the guy today. He gave me a note 3 months ago, and I just never answered. And so I just finally answered because I do it all myself, so it takes a little while.
I mean, I do all my stuff myself. Do people actually have people do
their
stuff?
Oh, yeah. Like GSP got caught for it. He's like, something went out on Twitter. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He's like, you literally just put this out on Twitter like 45 seconds ago. He's like, I don't even have my phone. You're like, oh, okay. And it was recorded. So somebody caught it. Yeah, it became an issue. Well,
now that people know how busy you are, all the hats you wear, things you do, so don't expect an immediate response. But you can find him at Frank Trigg all over, across the board. Twitter, Instagram, all the fun stuff, and
YouTube.
YouTube too. YouTube. So this is going up on YouTube. Hope you guys share this. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Frank, for doing the interview with me.
Of course, yeah, my pleasure.
And then go watch Frank in whatever new cool TV.
You'll see me in. Let's see. So you'll see me in 5-0. You'll see me. This is all the first couple of episodes of each new one as they come up at the end of this month. 5-0, SWAT, Lucifer. and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and SEAL Team. There's one other one I'm forgetting.
All
But
right.
they're all like the first 4 episodes. I'm in all of them.
So, UFC Hall of Famer turned movie star Frank Trigg.
Well, trying to turn movie star. I'm not The Rock yet. I'm trying to get there.
All right, thanks, Frank.
Thank you.